Hi people, how you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. We will be breaking down ways that you can replicate and recreate Aston Villa's 4-4-2 formation. Of course, the Unai Emery tactics in the game FC24. So, we'll start off with introducing the team going forward. We've got the likes of Ollie Watkins and Moussa Diaby up front as our two strikers. We've got the likes of Leon Bailey, Kamara, Douglas Luiz, as well as captain John McGinn in the midfield. Moving into the defense, we've got Digne, Torres, Konsa, as well as Cash. And then between the sticks, we've got Emi Martinez. On the bench, we've got the likes of Zaniolo, Buendia, Ramsey, Tielemans, Olsen, Diego Carlos, and then Moreno. In the reserves, we've got the likes of Mings, Lenglet, Dendoncker, Traore, and a few other players I don't care to mention. So for the formation going forward, it's just a base 4-4-2 holding, and the only alteration I have made is I've dropped Moussa Diaby's position ever so slightly, turning him into a centre forward. So basically, it is one goalkeeper, two centre backs, two fullbacks, two DMs, two wide midfielders, one centre forward, and then one striker. Now, with the tactics going forward, it was very hard because, yes, they do play a possessive style of football, but they can also, and more so than not, tend to play a counter-attacking system. So, for tactical vision, I've gone with counter-attack. That means that they will look to sit back, soak up a lot of pressure, and then hit their players on the break for the transition attacks and potentially catch out the opposition. For the defensive style, however, I have gone with press after loss of possession, especially at Villa Park. They do look to try and press and be very aggressive with the opposition when out of possession, looking to try and create those heavy and high turnover rates and then transition into attack. As for the team width, however, I've set it to 15, and this is a nice compact system at the back, making it very hard for the oppositions to play through the lines, to fit players in between your players, of course, making sure it's very hard for them to build up any fluid-looking attacks. The depth, however, is set to 45, which does create a mid-block effect. It ranges between, in real life, of course, it ranges between a low block as well as a mid-block at times. So I think 45 is a very good happy medium in you wanting to replicate that system. For the offensive style of play, of course, it is set to long ball. Of course, you are looking to try and counter-attack. But don't be alarmed. You can also play those little quick interchanging passes here and there. But more times than not, the runners in behind will be waiting for a long ball in from your centre back or one of your midfielders potentially to try and work into that space in behind. As for the chance creation, however, it is set to forward runs. Like I said earlier, you want the likes of Ollie Watkins, Diaby, as well as the likes of Bailey making those advancing runs, trying to exploit the opposition's backline. For the width, however, it is set to 50. It's not the widest of spreads on the offensive side of things. You don't really need to have that many players spread out, creating space between the lines. It's more or less, I'm going to soak up pressure and then counter-attack. And wherever you spray that ball, those players are going to run to. So whether it's the wider areas of the field, they will look to play into those wider sides. If it's down the center, they will look to make those more central runs. So 50 is a nice happy medium going forward. As for players in the box, however, you don't want to overcommit too many players, but we have gone with it's set to 6, and that does more or less mean that 3 players will be inside the box waiting to latch onto those crosses. And in this situation, more times than not, it will be the likes of Leon Bailey, Diaby, as well as Ollie Watkins. It also creates a nice happy medium in and around the box with trying to facilitate the pace of play a little bit more efficiently as well. As for corners and free kicks, as per always, it is set to 4. So with the instructions going forward, Emi Martinez, he's set to come for crosses and have a balanced approach for saving outside of the box. It goes without saying, you aren't playing a high line, you don't need him making those advanced runs outside of his area, and he is, of course, very good with the ball at his feet, so he can also be the out there pass when you have the ball at the back. He can look to soak up a bit more pressure and then spread out to either the fullbacks or the centre backs and more or less bypass the press at times. He is also very good at claiming those aerial balls that are whipped into the box. So moving slightly higher up the field now to Torres and Konsa, they are set to their base set of instructions. But one thing I will say, especially when it comes to Pau Torres, he does have the ability to spray those long passes in behind the opposition's back line. So if you have the ball with him in possession and you see a potential Diaby making a run, hit them in transition because he's very good at doing so. Out wide to our left back as well as our right back, they have the same set of instructions. They will be looking to supply the width down the team, either down the left or the right flank. More times not looking to get on the ball in the attacking areas and then whip in those crosses, supplying it for your forwards. But both of them are set to join the attack, overlap, as well as stick to position. In terms of this, you don't really want them being too aggressive, being out of position at times. You want them to try and remain nice and compact at the back, making it very difficult for the opposition to try and break down. Now, as for the likes of Matty Cash, he's got the same set of instructions as you can see right here. More or less what you do on the left-hand side with your fullback is what you'll do on the right-hand side. And might I add that the likes of Moreno, he will also be set to the same set of instructions. very much flying down the left flank, supplying in those crosses, almost acting like a winger at times. Moving on into our midfield, however, we've got the likes of Kamara as well as Douglas Luiz. Now, Kamara is set to sit a bit more or less try and protect the backline as best as possible. He is set to cut passing lanes, of course, trying to break up their play. Stay back while attacking, like I say, sit in front of the backline, making sure that nothing really gets past him. Normal interceptions, though, are set to be on for him, be the deep lying playmaker, and then, of course, cover the center. As for his midfield counterpart, Douglas Luiz, he is set to also cut passing lanes, but this time he'll be a bit more of a box-to-box player, being a bit more involved in the builder play, slightly higher up the field, getting more shots off. I'm not exactly sure, but he's got like 5 or 6 goals in the Premier League this season as a DM, and that is fantastic if you ask me. Aggressive interceptions, though, are set to be on, and this does help with the counter press that you will look to try and implement in games. He will be a key figure in that counter press going forward. Be the deep lying playmaker, and then, of course, cover the center. Now, with Kamara as well as Douglas Luiz, when they sit back, you do want them to be able to almost create like a shield, like a block in front of your back 2 or your back 4 at times, making sure it's very hard for the opposition to try and play through the center of the park. And of course, be the deep lying playmaker, collecting the ball off of Emi Martinez or your backline, and then also being in charge of spraying it forward, hitting the forwards in transition, trying to beat the opposition's backline with a key pass over the top or through the middle of the field. Then moving on out wide to our captain, John McGinn. He's set to come back on defense, always looking to help out the fullback because, of course, they do like to get forward a fair amount. Cut inside and come short. Now, what this does is it does allow him to not exactly play as a wide midfielder at times. He will sometimes look to just be a bit more involved in the center of the park with the build-up play, with the opposition's breakdown of their offensive play, always looking to help out where he can on the defensive side of things. Aggressive interceptions are set to be on for him, as well as getting into the box for those crosses, attacking those loose balls in and around the box. He is also very capable of hanging in and around the box, looking to try and supply and rotate possession. Out wide, on the right-hand side to Leon Bailey, more of a natural winger feel and approach. Also set to come back on defense. Unai Emery is very set on making sure that you're structurally sound on the defensive side of things, so that's why both of our wingers are set to do that. As well as he is set to have a balanced width, so sometimes looking to cut inside for himself and get shots off, or other times looking to hold the width in the team going forward, or maybe even having the ability to pop up in little half spaces in and around the box. Getting in behind, though, is essential with his pace. Of course, your front 3, essentially, with Watkins, Diaby, and Bailey, are all very, very quick players, and you need to use that to your advantage. He is also said to have aggressive interceptions on, and then getting into the box for those crosses. Now, moving on into our front line, Diaby, he is set to drift wide, making those outer runs, those arcing runs out of the box, drawing potential players away from the likes of Watkins in certain moments. But most importantly, he's set to get in behind, always looking to try and exploit the backline. And it goes without saying, when you do have your forward set to making those forward runs, they will always look to try and beat the backline of the opposition. Aggressive interceptions are set to be on, very much like a John McGinn, like a Douglas Luiz, always looking to try and counter press where applicable. And then, of course, basic defensive support is set for him. Sometimes looking to drop deeper, be a bit more involved in the builder play. Other times looking to be a bit more of the outlet ball going forward, and he can look to transition quite effectively. And then finally, we have got the likes of Ollie Watkins up front. He will mainly patrol the left-hand side because, of course, John McGinn will look to tuck inside a bit more, so that does leave a bit more space in behind, especially in that left flank area. So for his support runs, he is set to have a balanced width, so sometimes looking to drift into that left-hand channel a bit more, other times looking to take up a bit more of a central role. Getting in behind, though, is essential, just like Diaby, always looking to push the backline of the opposition. Aggressive interceptions are set to be on for him, and then basic defensive support is set to be on as well. You don't always want him dropping deep, you want him to sometimes be the outlet ball as well. So yes, my people, that is my version of Aston Villa's 4-4-2 formation under the likes of Unai Emery. If you have enjoyed this, smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. By the way, the West Brom career mode on this flippin' weekend is going to be absolutely cracking. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And might I say, the Throwback Thursday that I've got coming out tomorrow is fan-damn-tastic. So stay tuned for that. Most importantly, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'm out.